just to get a sense of who's here. Who here is a freshman? Okay.
That's good. A lot of room to grow.
All right. Well, we only have like 3 people left, I think. So people who are not freshmen, like what year are you?
Senior.
Senior. Okay. And you? Sophomore. Okay. All right. So I'm Kyle. I'm a junior, but I'm also 25. I've taken a lot of time off from school. I'm just getting started. I guess we can sign in up here if you'd like. All right, so basically, even people here that are freshmen are probably very familiar with this site. Obviously, the lecture hall. So I see this, and I think of a place where my soul gets sucked out of my body. I don't know if anyone identifies with that. I am passionate about a lot of things, and I cannot pursue any of those passions in that place. You go in, and a teacher basically usually just summarizes what you just learned in the book, and they just go through bullet points, and you just like write down what they're saying, and it's just they're spewing information onto people, and you're just supposed to just like take it in. And that's what we've come to see learning as. And I see this, and I think that this isn't what learning should be. And then of course, because we come to think that learning is something that should be imposed on us, that we should be passionate about, that we should be excited to do, then what we do, of course, is we go out and do this. We drink our worries away, we forget about how much we hate our classes, and we just have a good time. Now, I'm all for partying and having a good time. You here for Big Thinkers? Are you here for Big Thinkers? Okay, cool. You can take a seat. So I'm all for, a few years ago I used to party a lot and really enjoyed it. And I think it's a good way to, break your inhibitions and meet people. But I don't think that these 2 things are all that college should be. I don't think that it should be either you're just like having something imposed on you that you hate and you do it just because you have to, and then you go off and you just act crazy and stupid. I think that there should be something that we can both enjoy doing and something that we can grow from and learn about. So I started thinking, is there a better way to do this? So as I mentioned earlier, I took a few years off from college, basically dropped out for a little while to try to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And basically, sort of ironically, in the process of doing this, I realized that answering this question is what was most important to me. I realized that, I was looking at different colleges, I was looking at transferring. I went to Lehigh University in Pennsylvania originally. I ended up transferring here to, save some money because they were charging me like $50,000 a year to just sit in that lecture hall and just have people summarize information that I could just learn on my own in a book. It just seemed like a waste of money. But now I'm ranting. But anyway, so this question, is there a better way? This is really what I've been thinking about a lot for the past few years. And so I've identified, so that's what Big Thinkers is really supposed to be about. And I've identified these 4 components that I think, both in education and in life as a college student, we seem to be missing. And these are based on both my own experience. Yes?
Sorry, just quick warning. There's like a bug or something on your headphone.
A bug?
Other one.
Really?
Inside. In, there you go.
Oh, what? Like a caterpillar in my headphone. Okay.
Exploration.
Exploration.
It's thinking things.
Big thinkers. What should we do about this?
Can
I do some big thinking about how to get rid of this caterpillar?
That's not outside, guys. That's.
I don't know if I can even get out of that one.
Yeah, that's not outside.
Yeah, like just close to another.
Put in another one.
Let it climb into your brain and control you.
Alright, now it's hanging. Alright, I'm gonna put it in the trash and let it figure out what to do. I'll put those down and never put them on again. Okay. So, alright, because this is a lot of verbiage, I call it epic learning, or in this case, epic living. And I've sort of, in thinking about this question, is there a better way to have a college experience? my huge ambition for the future, and this is not necessarily something we were talking about it just now in terms of, you know, if there's a subset of people that are interested in this, this is something that we could think about and work on in terms of, you know, recreating the college experience. Now that I want to get into education reform, but that's not really what this group is about. This group is about exploring our interests, living more purposefully, individualizing what we're learning about and doing, and then collaborating with each other. So let's just go through these. Exploration. So how many people in here had like a class or a very set time in their lives that they could just focus entirely on exploring their interests? Okay, 2, 3. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm interested to actually learn about that. So what was that time like for you guys?
Do you want to go?
Well, I didn't go straight to college like you, only I spent more time. I worked as a sailor for a little while, had lots of time to think. Worked for Barack Obama's first primary, then worked as a chef for about 2.5 years, then started working in the nonprofit world in Rhode Island, and then through that started taking class, and now I'm finally matriculated as a senior this year.
Okay, cool.
So
How about you guys?
I've explored.
Yeah, that's good. How about you guys?
I spent a year in high school abroad, so I was in Germany. And I did go to school there. I attended school as an exchange student. But during that time at school, necessarily, I didn't really have to, I wasn't concentrated on my academic schooling. I was just concentrated on the experience of being there, of being at school. So yeah, that whole year was just like a giant exploration experience. It was great.
I took 4 years of a class called mechanical drawing, which basically I just kind of focused on, it wasn't like, okay, here's how you learn this, here's how you do this. It was some of that, but a lot of it was actually just kind of trying to like be creative, and like within the 4 years I was able to like design houses and yeah, create houses from the ground up, like design it from inside of them and figure out how they should look, and it was really fun like that.
No, I wasn't planning on doing this because I thought when I asked that, like, people would say no. But so, what was that experience like for you guys? Was that something that you like appreciate that you did?
Favorite class.
Favorite
I
class
took 4
ever?
years of it, so yeah.
It was life changing.
Life change.
For sure.
I feel like you guys are gonna think I planted these people here, but I met you last week, but
So much fun.
we didn't have any sort of. But okay, so life changing experience. So that makes me wonder, why is this not something that everyone's doing? Right? I mean, we go from high school where we have all these classes that we have to take, and then we go to college, and sure, we have some flexibility. We can take different types of classes, but when you get in a class, you get this syllabus that tells you exactly what you have to do, basically. And even the classes that you take, I mean, it's fairly limited. You can take 4 or 5 classes a semester, and then you have to do that for 4 months, and then you have another 4 months, and then pretty much by that time you have to start choosing a major. So what I think should be happening, and what I would like to start happening with this group if I can, is to set up a place where people can freely explore their interests and identify what they're passionate about. Because I think when you have these classes that are telling you what you have to do, there isn't really any way to identify what you really care about for yourself. So that's exploration. And then purpose. Purpose is sort of the end goal of exploration to me. I think that once you've explored a lot of interests, that allows you to identify what you really care about. And then when you identify that, that becomes your purpose, not only for, you know, what you're studying in school, but just what you're doing in your life. I think that, you know, if you, like I said with my education reform, that's basically guided me as a person the past few years. And it makes the process of learning that, you know, what used to feel like people just giving me information and me needing to take it in, it's made that something that I revel in, something that I, you know, when I'm reading a book now, I'm not taking notes on what I think is going to be on the test. I'm taking notes on what I want to remember for my life, because that's how I care about it. So that's basically the end goal of this exploration that hopefully we'll be doing together, is that it'll help people find what they're passionately interested in and what their purpose is. And then individualization. So this is going to be a huge part of this group, and something that even in early conversations with people, it might be a challenge, because typically when you go to groups, there's like a very set purpose of what they're trying to do. And it's like if you go to a group for psychologists, it's all about psychology. You go to a group for there is a group for education reformers. It's all about that. What I want this to be is not one thing that we all have to be thinking about. I want people to find, again, the purpose piece. Find what it is that drives you, and then bring that to the group. So I have the Facebook group right now set up so you can just post like questions that are just like on your mind, things that you care about. Then people can go through and select. They say, oh, that looks interesting. I would like to talk about that. And it can start very casually. It can start with just meeting up over a meal, and just having a casual conversation. But when you bring people together that are also interested in these types of things, it can expand beyond that. Maybe it goes from that to saying, okay, this was interesting. Let's do a little bit more research on it. Let's look up, see if there's a TED Talk on this topic that we can watch, and maybe write some things on it, post it on the blog that I set up. And that could be the next step. And then maybe after that, we say, hey, this is something that we'd really like to continue to research, and let's try to get together and do a project on it. Let's see if we can get a professor involved. Let's get some academic credit for this. Because I feel like my first few years of college, I didn't even know that independent studies existed, because nobody talks about them. Does everyone know that you can get course credit for basically, you can enroll in an independent study, and you can basically have it be whatever you want, and you're just advised by the professor? So, okay, I'm seeing some shaking no. Okay, so, well, I mean, isn't that pretty cool, right? Okay, so one revelation that I've made, and one thing that's allowed me to live more purposely and learn more purposely recently, is that I've realized that I can do that. But still, I mean, I'm taking like 3 independent studies right now, but it's still just me doing it on my own. Which, I mean, it's great that I'm able to, spend time focusing on something that I'm actually interested in. But still, to be doing it on my own isn't really what I want to be doing. I think when you're in college, part of the experience is having these other people around that are also motivated to learn something. You can, bounce ideas off of each other and feed off each other's energy. So what I would love to see come of this, and it's not something that we have to be worried about right away. If we want to just take it, start with just the casual conversations, that's fine. But long term, if we could have, a group of, 2, 3, however many people that find something that they're both interested in, I would love to see people get together, get a professor involved, and say, hey, next semester, let's do an independent study. We get course credit to continue researching this thing that we're passionately interested in. So that's individualization. I also kind of just skipped ahead to the collaboration piece. And again, that's what I think college should be about. It's not about, the books or the information, because that stuff, I mean, if anything, we could do it better on our own, honestly, with the internet and our ability to explore information, more dynamically than you can in a book. I think what it should be about, I think the assets of education and of just college life in general is the people around us. So I think that tapping into that collaboration piece is essential. So that's epic learning, or in this case, really epic living. So that leads to what we'll do. I've given some, little examples, but all right, how many people that read? Well, first, how many people have read the descriptions about the group somewhere? Okay, so about half. Okay, how many people of those people saw it and felt like it was just, I was trying to do too much and it was just daunting? I mean, well, you're here, so maybe you're not the people that thought that it was daunting. But does anyone feel that way? That it was a little bit? Okay. All right. So good. I mean, that's, I don't want you to feel like it's daunting, but I did want to express that there's so many possibilities of things that we could do with it. So that's the first part to understand. That really, it's what you guys are passionately interested in is what I want to do with this group. But to ease that daunting feeling and make it a little bit easier, I did at least identify 3 main components that we could focus on. And these aren't limited to these 3 things, but these are 3 things that we can do. So the first is thought sessions, and that's basically what I was describing earlier in terms of people coming together over a meal, and probably over a meal. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I'm thinking each of these 3 are ways that people can fit what we're doing into their lives, things that they're already doing. We all have to eat, right? We all like to, well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us like to talk to other people while we eat. So why not use that as a time where we can explore, more interesting, engaging issues rather than just talking about what we had for breakfast. And, oh, we saw that girl that I saw at that party the other night. It was awful. I didn't know what to say. I mean, there's a place. I mean, we can have those conversations sometimes. I'm not trying to say that we always have to be thinking big about everything, but that would be nice. But why not use that, at least occasionally, as a time where you can really have a good conversation about something that's really important to you. So that's thought sessions. And then feedback and publication. This is basically, again, it's to the not trying to add any more time to what you guys are already doing. So if you've written papers that you think fit into the paradigm of trying to do something positive for the world, trying to figure out how to flourish in life, that would be something that you could post onto the group, and as the semester goes on, you know, if you are writing papers that can be sort of applied that way, you can post it to the group, and that can do two things. One, you can get feedback from people, so you can post it before the assignments due. You can have people just like, you can post it as a Google Doc, and people can give you feedback, and we can set this up as a place where people can just like help each other out in that way. And then also there's the opportunity for publication on a website. I have a website set up right now. We could, if we have any, do we have any like computer science, web design people over here? No? Okay. I mean, I like to use Squarespace, so we can set it up so that it's better set up to have people posting things onto it. But so you can both get the feedback, and then the end result can be having it posted on a website, which I think, I mean, aside that, I've always felt like you put in all this work into a paper, and then you just give it to the professor, and they're the only people that ever see it. I feel like wouldn't it be cool to be able to do something that like other people can see, like could potentially other people could, you know, be affected by it, and you know, have it change them in some way. I mean, it doesn't have to be a massive change, but I feel like that would be something that could be motivating to some people. I mean, again, it's not something that you have to do, but it's an opportunity that we could explore in this. And then the last is Collaborative Commons, which is sort of the name that I'm using to for the platform that I was discussing in terms of setting up like the independent study that you can get credit for. So these are the three sort of things. If you want to have three focused sort of structures, this is what I would suggest. But again, that's not, you know, it's not everything that is. And this is the people that found it daunting. Probably a lot of them aren't here because I initially I toned it back, the rhetoric that I was using on the description. But I was initially saying we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. But you know what I want you guys to see with this, and actually I did not intend to do it this way, but I'm just saying, you know, the colors. I think that one person could look at this and say you're a purple person, and maybe documentaries and art stand out to you. And that's like when you look at this list of things, of possibilities that we could do here, those become your honed-in focus of this group. So it's going back to what we were saying about how there's not, you know, a super refined focus. There isn't by design, because that allows you guys to choose what it is that you want more focus to be. So when you look at this things that we could create, now we could, you know, guest lectures, we could bring in people, you know, they already do this in other groups, but it could be refined to, say you have a conversation about something and you're really interested to find out more about it, you do research, you find out that there's, you know, somebody researching it that's basically exactly what you're looking for, you can bring them on campus. And there's, when we will be student-centered recognized, we can have funding for stuff like that. You know, I mentioned collaborating on articles. We could do film screenings and just discuss afterward. I kind of, whenever I see lecture halls around here and realize that they're just vacant at night, that kind of irritates me. I feel like we should do something with that space, right? And I think it would be cool to just show films and talk about them. You know, one of the longer term projects could be collaborating on a book. If you want to do it with like a few people in an independent site, that would be pretty cool to be able to like co-write a book with someone before the time you graduate. I feel like that would be awesome. The same thing with documentary. If there's some things that you guys are really passionate about, we could do some sort of like activist protest. You know, we could start. This could end up leading to other organizations. We could profile, you know, local people that are big thinkers that are doing important things for local organizations. This could potentially, if we have, do we have anyone here that's like has an entrepreneurial spirit or like is interested in entrepreneurship? Yeah, we could do something like that. If there's a business idea that you have, and you have a couple other people that are interested in working on it. I mean, that would probably be one of the longer term projects. But you know, it's a possibility. With social events, we want to just like have, you know, get-togethers of just people that are passionate about things and just sharing what they're passionate about. Conferences, I was talking to somebody who, I guess he couldn't make it tonight, I thought he was here. But now I can just talk shit about him because he's not here. No, I'm not going. Well, okay, maybe I will a little bit. Oh yeah, okay. I guess I can because I forgot he was recording this. It's alright. No, it's not really talking shit about him. But we met last week, and I don't remember who it was that said it. One of us said, "Wouldn't it be awesome if we had a TEDx conference here?" Because like I feel like even among people that don't necessarily have these sort of like big picture conversations with people regularly, I feel like how many people here like TED? But TED, it's basically it's a website where you post, or not you, but where they have conferences that bring together a bunch of important people doing important things that are very interesting and like passionate and inspiring, and they post them online. And I feel like I think it was the majority of the room that raised their hand when I asked that. That's something that like even people that aren't always thinking about what they're inspired by and what they're really passionately trying to do, that's something that they connect with. So anyway, we're thinking that it'd be cool to have a TEDx conference here in Rhode Island. And then right after we talked, I looked it up and I was like, okay, let's see. I should probably check and make sure that there isn't one. And then there actually was one last weekend in TEDx Providence. So that's why I'm kind of ragging on both of us by saying that we both were like, oh, it would be great if we had a TEDx conference in Rhode Island, and there was one all along. Yeah, I went. Yeah, it was last week. It's pretty cool.
Have you considered College Board?
College Board? Like the website for finding
Well,
colleges?
no, but also there's a lot of conferences, especially
Like collegeboard.org?
there's a lot of conferences, educational reform, just education in general. I've been to a couple, and
Oh, really?
yeah, there's a lot of interesting conferences and a lot of different ones too.
Alright, yeah, I'll check that out. Appreciate that. Alright. And then mentorship is something that we were just talking about, actually. And something, again, the same guy I was talking to last week, I thought that he would chime in about this because he is doing MTI, Mentoring and Tutoring Institute, I think it is. Just in terms of the paradigm and trying to do something positive for the world, I think as we, hopefully as a community, become more passionate, that's something that we can share with people that aren't as passionate, people that are struggling either here or in high school. I'm actually right now, I need to email this professor, but I'm co-planning and probably will be co-teaching in the spring a course that it's basically, I'm calling it a life coaching practicum. And it's basically supposed to be for people that are studying positive psychology and life coaching. You have a couple of people that you're mentoring, either here at URI or maybe at a local high school, and you're basically trying to help them achieve their potential. And so you're basing what you're learning in the class around helping these clients. So you meet with them, say once a week, and you figure out what they're struggling with, and then you go back and you research that issue, and then so that when you come back to them, you have something to give, and then you're giving presentations on what you were researching throughout the week. That's not necessarily something that we would have to do, but I'm saying that sort of thing is something that could come out of that. If what I just said interests any of you, I would welcome you to join me on working that. And then community service, from a few people at the student organization fair, I don't know if any of them are here, I don't really remember, mentioned like charity work and community service, wanting to do that. So that's something that we could do also. And then art, there are a lot of ways that you can express what you're passionate about and what your ideas about the world through art. So do we have any like artists, art disciplines and classes? Okay. Yeah, so that's another possibility. So anyway, going back to what I said, if you look at this and there's like one or two things that jump out to you, that can be what this organization is about for you. So that's what Big Fingers is. And I keep coming back to this quote while thinking about this. Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people to come alive. So basically the question that I'm trying to pose right now as we start as Big Fingers is what makes you come alive? It sounds like I'm ending with a rhetorical question, but it's an actual question. So if we could, just like, we could like, I guess stand up, we don't have this. We were trying to move the chairs, but they're actually connected. I didn't know that they made chairs like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't like
You can take them apart.
turn
They're
around.
just a little
You
tricky.
can take them apart.
Yeah.
Do you know
Or
the
we
trick
can-
to take
we
them
can move
apart? Is it
them
worth
back.
even trying?
That's true. We can move them.
Alright. So is it? Can we disconnect them easily or?
It should take a bit.
I think we should
Yeah,
just
we can
push
do
them
it.
back and then like.
We could also just like have like one just like stand.
You can just go around
Just
the wall.
say something.
Because you can just go into If you go around the wall, it'll still be like a circle, but it'll be a cardboard circle.
Stand up against the
Not
wall.
even a screen.
It's true.
It'll just be over your circle.
It's a big thing.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah, we can. I like it. Okay. Would anyone be anxious if I like got up in their face with the camera while we're doing it? Well, now we're like divided. This isn't right.
But we're connected here.
Let's
I like that. Okay.
Where's the right place to sit?
Okay. Alright, so you're good with this? Alright, so I guess I'll start just to, I already kind of talked about what I'm passionate about, education reform. I think more generally, I'm passionate about helping people flourish. And I think a very important way to do that is through education, but it's certainly not the only way. And I'll be very interested to see, if you guys have other ways that you're interested in that. And also keep in mind through this exercise, if there isn't like one thing that you're really passionate about, that's okay. That's actually, this is the place for you, if that's the case, because we want people to explore and identify what that is. But in that case, I would say, at least say something that you were like leaning towards, or maybe something in the presentation that stood out to you as something that you'd be interested in doing. Sometimes it's interesting. What?
Oh, come on, really? Alright. Okay, fine. Alright, cool.
Oh, and say your name and major.
Okay, my name is Lucinda. I'm actually undeclared. I don't have a major. But I think that's just because I really don't know what I want to do. But I'm super passionate about education. I believe that education is the thing that drives our society. And I also believe that our education system kind of sucks, especially considering minorities and ability to get education. I also believe in higher education, but I believe that the amount of money that we're paying for higher education also really sucks. And the government is doing absolutely nothing about it to ensure that the next generation really receives the education it needs in order to continue to function in this world. So I'm passionate about changing education to meet the needs of the student, not the needs of the big corporations.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm Mike Ayudi. I'm undeclared freshman over in Breslin. I'm passionate about learning and doing new things that I haven't done before. Yeah, it's just something that I like to do.
This is good. Your name's the right place.
Well, I'm Ryan. I'm a film major, and the reason I'm a film major is because I'm very, very passionate about film. I enjoy the experience of kind of making connection and expressing something that someone else can see and have their own opinions about. It's I feel like film is it's like its own language in a way. And I was chiming on what you said. Apparently, within like the last 20 years, the cost of going to college has increased about 500%.
Yes, that's adjusted for inflation.
Yeah. Even with the
I'm Patrick. I'm a film major as well. I really don't necessarily know what I would say I'm passionate about. If I enjoy something, I'm going to do it. Whether I would necessarily dedicate a lot of my time to it, I don't know. To me, if something starts to feel like a chore and it just becomes the same thing over and over, I'm not going to find it enjoyable anymore. I'm going to want to stop. So as long as something interests me, I have no problem doing whatever that thing is.
I'm Bola by name. My major is ocean engineering. I'm passionate passionate about creativity, as in being creative in whatever endeavors you are involved, in all walks of life. Because I've had some working experience, and the working experience seems to be kind of monotonous. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the reasons why I had to come back to school for an advanced degree. I'm actually doing a graduate studies. But I'm very, very conscious of the fact that you might not be inspired in a school environment. So you just need to be on your guards and try to distinguish between schooling and being creative. I'm actually doing engineering, but I'm also into all kinds of stuff, you know, to like connect with myself, you know, like not just doing a 9-to-5 job, you know, not just doing, you know, some butter and bread stuff, you know, something that you think you connected with that makes you feel, you know, feel creative. Because personally, I believe creativity answers all the questions, all life questions.
My name's Hannah. I'm a pharmacy major, and I actually have not yet found something that I'm extremely passionate about, which is kind of why I came to the meeting tonight. But something I found interesting from the presentation was just the way of epic learning or epic living, because a lot of my life has been very structured in like what I do and like going to school and going to practice and stuff like that. So I haven't had much time to explore. So I think it's interesting to look at life from that point of view.
Alright. I'm Michelle. I'm also a pharmacy major, and what I'm passionate about is making connections with other people and getting to know their stories and like what inspires them and like the pain and like inspiration and like happiness that they went through. I think that's really interesting that everyone has their own individual story.
I'm Paige, and I'm also a pharmacy major. I'm really passionate about helping people with disabilities, whether it's through just working at Special Olympics or hopefully through my major I'll be able to find cures with certain things with people with living disabilities and hopefully make their lives a little bit easier.
Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm also a pharmacy major, and I am passionate about volunteering and helping others. It's just something I've always liked doing with my life, and I hope to continue on with this epic learning style.
I'm Liz. I'm a journalism major with a minor in wildlife and conservation biology. I'm passionate about finding out new things that are interesting or important in the world and learning as much as I can about them and sharing them with others, because I think it's important to be aware of what's going on, whether it's a little thing or a big thing. Like, you should know what's happening in the world around you.
Okay, hi, I'm Abby. I am a political science major. I don't know, there's like so much that I am passionate about, it's hard to choose one. Basically anything having to do with the political sphere, not just in the United States, but around the world. But I think when talking about politics, it also, to a sense, like anthropology and culture and all of those sort of things sort of fit into that mold as well. So stuff like that, I would say, is... No.
So when do you guys want to like grab it so that she can
Yeah.
someone other grab it?
I'm Nicole. I am a freshman comm major, and I'm super passionate about letting other people be themselves and also saving the environment. I don't know, different but things that I like.
My name's Vicky. I am a political science and economics major and a business minor. And just to come alive. Learning. I like learning about new things, current events, what these two said, that's why I lot of the classes, like how you describe that setup, but as I'm going on in my classes and stuff, it's getting more involved. We're talking more about the social aspects of economics as opposed to just the hard math, and that's helping me kind of figure out how I need to get an understanding before I can make any change, and I believe that I'm really big into public service. However, I think that change needs to be more systematic, and instead of treating the symptoms, we need to treat the disease.
My name's Stasha. I'm a sophomore psych major with a double minor in French theater. What makes me come alive is volunteering, doing things for the greater good. I'm a psych major because I just want to help people work through their problems and find solutions, really. I'm also theater because being on stage is just a great thing for me. It makes me come alive.
I'm Mike. I'm a kinesiology major, and I really don't.
I'm Helena, and I'm also a kinesiology major, looking at a minor in German, and I think yoga is what keeps me alive, and it's something that I want to dedicate my life to.
I'm Robert. I'm a film media major. I guess I find learning makes me come alive, and also just figuring out ways to stay out of the status quo.
Hi, I'm Christine. I'm a forensic chemistry major and a music minor, and I'm really passionate about like curing and helping people in need through music, aka musical therapy. And I've been like surrounded with a lot of like people who are dealing with pain, especially my family, and they go to like counseling services and they come back like, oh, she sucks, and then I'm just like, I want to like try music. So.
Alright, so next part I wanted to make sure that we got to this first meeting. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. But leadership positions, we have the good fortune of being in on the group when it's just starting. Oh yeah, we can